Great news! There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price, and it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Welcome to the end of a brief, highly questionable week. Dan finally caught that ice cream truck, so we're not going to see him for a while. This man's learned to hide his ice cream from Dan. That over there is Sarah Spain. Sarah, what do you like on the show?
This commish has a message for the new commish, Aaron Rodgers.
Dale, papi.
Do you think Jarvis Landry's speech can help change the Browns' culture?
Well, the debut of this season's Hard Knocks, which, by the way, you can stream on HBO Now and HBO Go, debuted last night. And there were a couple of subjects that could have been intriguing. Baker Mayfield, Hugh Jackson, anything related to Josh Gordon. But Jarvis Landry stole the show. And if you're looking for statistics with your Hard Knocks, this rant by Jarvis Landry had 13 F-bombs and 19 curse words. Here's a bit of it.
If you're not hurt, like if your hamstring ain't falling off the bone, your leg ain't broke, I don't know, like, you should be practicing. Like, straight up. Like, that is weakness. And that is contagious as and that ain't gonna be in this room, bro. That been here in the past, and that's why the past has been like it is, bro. That is over with here, bro. If you can practice, practice. You can't get no better. Ain't nobody gonna get better by being on the sideline if you ain't hurt. If you're not hurt, you gotta practice. Because you make other motherfuckers work even harder. Now they had more risk of getting hurt because you don't want to practice. Because you've been a.
Now, I have a little bit of a problem with this when you consider that Jarvis Landry, when he's talking about changing the culture here, isn't exactly coming from a championship culture in Miami with the Dolphins. This isn't exactly LeBron James moving from Miami to Cleveland. You know, no offense there, Jarvis Landry. And the other part about it is it's a bit accusatory, is it not? Where if you're saying everybody, hey, if you're sitting on the sideline and you're not hurt, you should be practicing, it's kind of accusing them of faking it, basically, right? Of being that guy. Every single wide receiver in that room is going to say, wait a second, is he suggesting this of me? But really, what I think about this is Jarvis Landry doesn't need to do that. If there's any sort of possibility that it's going to be received the wrong way, he doesn't need to do that. Because if you watch this guy play, the style that he plays is going to say all that for him. He's tough, he's rugged, he doesn't give up on plays, he goes out there every single possession and plays hard. That says it for him. I don't know if he needed that. That seemed to be more for the television kid.
To me, it seemed to be probably directed at one person, right? We don't know who, but someone in that room, Jarvis Landry thinks is not practicing and isn't hurt. And he's just going to say it to everybody just in case somebody else feels like taking a day off too. And I loved it. I loved the swearing. I love the message. I don't care if he's from the Dolphins, which is almost as bad as the Browns, just with better weather. I like that he came in here and he said, right now, today is where we change things. The question was, do I think this speech is going to change the culture in the Browns and help them to winning ways? And I want to say yes, except for every single thing that's happened in the entire history of the franchise tells me that no, this absolutely isn't going to fix anything. They're screwed.
You know, that was a hell of a speech. This guy's a great motivator, you know. I feel that, they're going to break a record this year. You know, they're going to win 3 games. Is Aaron Rodgers right that the NFL will be better with the NBA's compensation system?
So this coming from an interview Aaron Rodgers did with The Ringer where they asked him to be commish for a day. And among the things he said he would change about the NFL was to abolish the franchise tag and try to adopt the soft cap of the NBA. Now, I think this is a great idea in part because I think the reason that you can't get guaranteed contracts in the NFL is in part because of the hard cap. That needs to be the number one thing that players are trying to get in the next CBA. And everybody who wants to talk about this says never going to happen. Owners don't want to give up the power that they have with the franchise tag and the flexibility that they have with their own money with a hard cap. They can claim the hard cap as an excuse for not paying players a certain way. I think that is antiquated. We need to stop addressing this by looking at the way things have always been and instead say if these players want to change the way this monopoly, which is what the NFL is, you're not going to go play pro anywhere else that's anywhere near what the NFL is. The way we're going to change this is by them picking things that really matter and saying we're not budging. And in this upcoming CBA, I think guaranteed contracts, fully guaranteed, regardless of how many players you got on that field. This is the sport you need them the most, is the number one point. And I think adopting a soft cap allows a lot more freedom. Some of the rules he mentioned from the NBA that you could bring over to the NFL that would make things better for the players, which is what we should all be paying attention to, not how to make these owners even richer.
One of the arguments that the owners have is that the hard salary cap creates parity for the league. And if you look at just the last Super Bowl winners or all the last playoffs, the Jacksonville Jaguars were in the playoffs last year. I understand that argument here, but I think the stronger argument is against the guaranteed contracts because of how short some of these NFL careers are. You're going to have contracts and teams paying, like if you look at the NBA situation, you've got the Miami Heat paying Chris Bosh. You've got a lot of teams paying guys beyond the years that they've played. And now all of a sudden you're stuck in this situation where you can't actually create the team that's going to compete with the New England Patriots for a few years. I think there's dangerous elements there too, where if you lock up a young guy for a certain number of years, all of a sudden maybe he won't be able to cash in on that next deal because his NFL career only lasts 4 or 5 years, and by the time he's up again, he's not going to be able to really get that money. So you get guys in bargains early on, they're not going to be too happy either. You're going to have holdout situations and whatnot. You've got to be able to protect the teams as well because there's injuries, there's way too short of NFL careers, and it just doesn't really size up to the NBA compensation model.
Well, you can have shorter deals that are guaranteed. If you look at it, the NBA, when they have a player like Chris Bosh, the amount of their team and salary he makes up because of fewer players on the roster, that's a bigger hit to an NBA team. But because of the soft cap, they can make up for it with a variety of rules, and including going into the luxury tax to continue to compete. In the NFL, there are more players per roster. They take up a smaller percentage of the cap. So if they go on to be injured and can't fill out the rest of their guaranteed contract, then they move on to another player. It's actually less of a problem in the NFL than it would be in the NBA. We're just so stuck on the way we've always done things in the NFL that we can't see that you could actually change this and benefit the players in ways that should have been done a long time ago.
I have no idea what you guys were talking about.
We don't really either. There's a lot of details in there, but throw some stuff at the wall, see what sticks.
Pretty sure Sarah's the only one who knew what she was talking about.
Should the Colts push or protect Andrew Luck in the preseason?
Man, it's been 19 months since he's played with a shoulder injury and had shoulder surgery and had a failed comeback attempt last year and was throwing college-sized footballs earlier in the preseason, but now there's encouragement, right? Because he's back and he's happy and it looks like he's doing everything on track to be back this season. Now, whether or not he actually want to push him in the preseason, I don't know. But if I'm a Colts fan, I'm just encouraged by little things. Like I'm reading a quote that he says he struggles hiding how he's feeling sometimes. Well, right now he's looking great. He's acting great. He's happy. And so it feels like he's back on track to having a Drew Brees type of situation where you suffer from the shoulder injury and then rediscover your career and have an amazing career from then on out. That's what I'm looking forward to. Whether or not he plays in the preseason doesn't really interest me.
Yeah, it's interesting only because what we've seen so far is this overly tentative approach because he hasn't been ready. And so if after all of this time they really want to get a good look at him, at some point they're going to have to take off the training wheels and see what they've got. That's really scary with a guy like Andrew Luck, that we have tipped our toe in the water a couple times and then said, not ready, not ready. But they got to do it at some point. So as much as this isn't the way you answer things on a debate show, it's got to be one or the other. I say it's both. You both protect and push him. This is a guy who's had some very interesting comments coming back off this injury, including saying at one point he wasn't even sure he was going to be able to make it back or wanted to make it back because of the work that it was taking. Now that he's back, he says he's treating a training camp like first day of the season. He's got butterflies. He's nervous. He feels like it's a game time situation. That's actually a great feeling to have for a veteran if he manages to turn that into success on the field and not the kind of nerves that come from losing your confidence. There is so much going on with Andrew Luck right now. It's fascinating to watch, and they do need to both protect and push him if they want to see the guy that they had before back out there again.
With all the unknowns, it does feel like you've got a rookie quarterback again in Andrew Luck.
You know who thinks he should play? Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, no faking injuries, man. Let that guy give a speech in the Colts locker room.
How important is it for Carson Wentz to play in the preseason?
Well, you've got an interesting situation here in Philadelphia where Carson Wentz is seemingly ahead of schedule. He wasn't supposed to be back doing a lot of the things that he's doing now until October. But even though he's ahead of schedule, the team isn't allowing him to participate in full 11-on-11 activities except for one. And he was asked if he were to sit out all of the preseason, would he be concerned? And he essentially said no, he'd go ahead and start the season and be just fine, not needing the preseason. I think the interesting part with Carson Wentz here is you've only seen 1+ seasons of him, but you seem to have that confidence also in him. He seems like he's a 5, 6, 7-year vet at this point, despite the fact he hasn't had the playoff success. That was Nick Foles. And despite the fact that Foles is still on that roster and probably going to start and play a lot in these preseason games. And if he looks good, then people are still going to bring up the question of Foles versus Wentz again. I, for one, think that Philadelphia fans and Philadelphia coaches believe that Carson Wentz is the veteran type that doesn't need the preseason to succeed.
So things are a little complicated right now because Foles is also suffering from some injuries that are holding him back. But if not for that, and assuming that that gets cleared up quickly, this is the exact situation that the Eagles prepared themselves for by not trading away Foles in the offseason. This is what they wanted, the ability to not rush Carson Wentz back. So even though Wentz himself is saying, I don't need the preseason, I'll be fine when the season starts, there's no need for the Eagles to do that. The whole point of having Foles, a guy who proved he can do the job at the end of last year to the tune of an MVP of a Super Bowl game, the whole point of having him is so that they can make sure that Wentz is not coming back too early. Whatever Wentz says, love the confidence, love the vibe, honey, but just wait. Just wait. We don't need you yet. Foles is going to be fine. Take your time and come back when you're healthy.
Well, he doesn't have to play in the preseason. He doesn't have to play in the regular season. And you know where else he doesn't have to play? In the Super Bowl.
Oh, this guy's got it made. A franchise quarterback who never actually has to see the field.
It's tough but fair, Papi.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable.
Leads the majors in bunt base hits. Diekman, low throw. It gets what?
He seems really fast. I believe I heard the announcer say he leads the majors in bunt base hits, so that would make perfect sense.
You got a bunt triple?
Nope. You got to know is we're going to Switzerland for some parkour.
Oh, yes. Oh, no.
Allie's mom knew she had a strong kick even back in the womb. And from then on, Allie was always kicking a ball and saying she was going to play pro soccer. And one day, while she was kicking a ball against a wall, her skills drew even more attention. Her boss said, "Could you please stop that and get me those quarterly numbers I asked for?" Turns out Allie just wasn't that good at soccer. But she was a good accountant. That's why she switched to Geico. She knew they could save her a bunch of money on car insurance. And she sure wasn't ever going to make that pro soccer money. No, sir.
Time to play the game that thinks mashed potatoes are a condiment. Do you question?
You give us topics and events, and we question them.
Do you question if Cesar Hernandez should feel proud of this?
All right, we're going to take you to Phillies D-backs just because and check out Mr. Hernandez. What did he do for us here?
1-for-2. Leads the majors in bunt base hits. Diekman, low throw. It gets what?
He seems really fast. I believe I heard the announcer say he leads the majors in bunt base hits, so that would make perfect sense.
You got a bunt triple?
Nope.
We got an inside the park homer bunt.
Inside the bunt home run. That tells you that man is fast. Cesar is doing things we've never seen in baseball before.
I mean, does it tell you he's fast, or does it tell you how many different times they had to make defensive errors in order to make this happen? Should he be proud of it? Yeah, you scored a run, you helped your team, you ran the base as well. But everybody else involved with this play should feel shame.
While everybody else was messing up, he was running really fast. That's the point.
What was that fan doing, you know? He got out of the way and let the ball hit the woman.
Let's look at that again, because so many people messed up in this video. This fan... Oh, man!
What's up with the no hands approach? I've never seen anybody. I wonder if he's worried about getting into the play. He wasn't sure if it might bounce back over.
You're not going to get kicked out if the ball hits you in the belly. Just go ahead and take it.
I've literally never seen someone with a ball coming their way, foul, overthrow, whatever, with the no hands hit my wife in the face approach. Jeez.
He planned that whole thing.
Biggest error on the whole play.
That will never happen to Dan. He'll be at the concession stand.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he couldn't get his belly out of the way of the ball.
That too.
Couldn't catch it either, though.
That too.
Yeah.
Do you question if this is one of the greatest athletic feats of all times?
All you got to know is we're going to Switzerland for some parkour.
Oh, yes. Oh, no. Oh,
holy
no.
What the what?
Oh.
He's going to fall celebrating.
I kind of want to see the failed attempts of this as well, but holy mackerel, this is impressive.
I mean, you have to hope that there's a mattress down there that's just out of the shot, although even if there was, you could still just take out that whole top row of teeth if you guess wrong on that one.
See, we have people on this show who get Guinness Book of World Records for having watermelons cut on their stomach, and yet we don't celebrate impressive feats like that. There needs to be a book that says that happened.
That's really risky. You know, it could really go wrong.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, no.
I mean, that was intentional. He didn't try to do anything other than that. Like, that was entirely his intention, which is actually so much worse than doing that by accident. Find something else to do with your time. That wasn't worth it.
Coming up next on my son's TV show.
Family Secrets. See the praying mantis or grasshopper. Ryan Jordan is terrified of insects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything that you can actually do to heal the process up or speed it up?
I don't know.
It's a normal day. You're rushing out the door to get to work on time when suddenly, there it is, the dreaded service light. So what is it this time? Tire pressure, low coolant, time for an oil change? When it comes to service lights, head to Jiffy Lube. We've got you covered. Drive in today and make the switch to Pennzoil. Ask for Pennzoil Synthetics, getting you back on the road in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube, leave worry behind.
Highly questionable is broadcast from the Clevelander Hotel on beautiful South Beach, Miami. Time to play the game that just found a piece of candy that he lost in its belly button last November. It was still delicious. See or no?
But what did it smell like? You tell us what to watch on TV tonight. We'll tell you if you're intrigued. If we're intrigued.
On ESPN, Braves and Nationals.
Not so much, but I am a little intrigued by how calm, cool, and collected Eric Fetty is after this.
I'm let you in on Family Secrets. See the praying mantis or grasshopper. Ryan Jordan is terrified of insects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any insect.
Like it.
That's terrible.
Disrespecting the
How
animal.
is he standing
Doesn't
there?
want to make any.
Because nobody's afraid of insects.
Was that put on his shoulder, do you think? Is on his person, or do you think that mantis just showed up?
Best life, Ryan.
That is praying mantis. Manti? I don't know, Manti Teo.
I think you played that pretty cool. Sarah, are you intrigued?
I'm watching praying mantis or Nationals players fighting each other in the dugout, but I'm not watching Braves Nationals.
Papi, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. I'm going to be watching my favorite Latino player, Juan Soto. That kid is 19 years old. You know, he played for the Nationals, you know, and he had 14 homers. He just hit one last night, you know. I mean, that's my guy, Juan Soto. You know, when Dan was 19 years old, he was in the basement of the house eating nachos. That's the difference between Dan and Juan Soto.
That's also where he is right now.
Right now on the Tennis Channel, the Rogers Cup.
They're still not at the rounds that would intrigue me. However, we're going to go to the curious Nick Kyrgios, and this was his post-game press conference.
Nick, have you gotten some good advice about what the best plan going forward is to get healthy for the U.S. Open? Or is there anything that you can actually do to heal the process up or speed it up?
I don't know.
Having been away from the tour for a while with injuries had made you appreciate playing tennis a little bit more and giving you a little bit more motivation. Do you still feel that way? Has that changed at all?
No.
Nick, what do you make of the serve clock?
Doesn't really make a difference to me.
Nick, are you still intending on playing in the doubles here, or is it too soon for you to make that call?
Yeah, I'm going to play. All right, thanks, guys.
I'm not sure if he's as entertaining as John McEnroe used to be as the new bad boy of tennis, but I'll take it. It's a change-up. Sarah, are you intrigued?
No, I've seen this before, and his name was Jay Cutler, and he at least won a couple games. So scurry along now, Nick.
How about you, Papi? Are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. Wow, there are reporters who care about tennis?
Oh, come on.
Oh, wow.
Not the most popular sport.
Papi.
All day on ESPN2, The Ocho.
Absolutely. I was watching it on mute for the most of the morning, and I saw people climbing on top of people to create these towers in Spain. I saw people playing some sort of trampoline volleyball, but with their feet, which looked amazing. And I saw some hamburger eating contests. Right now, though, we're going to take you to chess boxing. That is chess and
Nikolai
boxing.
tries to pin Frank
This
into
is the boxing
corner,
portion,
but Frank
clearly.
shows his experience and boxing skills to turn the tables on Nikolai and gets in a few punches of his own.
Got the boxing half down.
The two boxers have a minute to recover, to take off the gloves and to focus on their kings and queens on the board. With the adrenaline pumping through their bodies, the big challenge is to keep cool. and avoid easy mistakes on the board. After Nikolai's body shots, this is the killer body blow. The Russian takes Frank's queen. Frank knows he's beaten and gives up the fight.
Wow.
Chess boxing has a new world champion.
I mean, the announcers might need to get a little bit more excited, but if you think about what sports really are, it's really trying to think straight when you're fatigued, and that's kind of the best of both right there, right? You get to fight your opponent, and then you have to think really hard.
Let me preface this by saying I love the Ocho, and I love weird sports, but I also love that you just said think while fatigued as opposed to concussed. Because the reason it's boxing chess and not run a marathon chess or play a bunch of tennis chess is because these dudes are getting drilled repeatedly in the head, which they then have to use to make a move. And we're just supposed to be like, no, we're cool with that. We're cool with you acknowledging that these guys are killing brain cells repeatedly in between each move that they make. And they're just pawns in our little game.
It's called the NFL. Bobby, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. Listen, ESPN must be desperate. First, they put me on the air, and then the other on the air. Man, that's really bad. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.
We're off until Monday, so that means a lot more tequila for these three.
You know, I really miss Dan.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah. I'm only kidding.
True feelings.
Cold.